So my name is Ryan. I am the communications officer of ILGA Asia. I go by he, they pronouns. Something interesting about me, I am willing to try any food once, even if it has more than 4 legs.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mayan. I don't really mind about pronouns. I see DT putting he, she, he, they. I'm the same. I don't mind. But at work, I recently changed jobs, and at work I go by they. I feel very comfortable with they pronouns. So maybe soon I'll start saying I am they. So I'm non-binary. I was born and raised in Japan, and but I currently live in Singapore. Interesting thing about me, I'm a musician. I post content on Instagram about LGBTQ activism, but also my music as well. I recently debuted on Spotify.
Hello, everyone. My name is Riel. I'm from the Philippines. I'm actually trans, masculine, non-binary. My pronouns are he, they. And what's something interesting about me is I am born prematurely. I was born 7 months old, and then I spent 2 months in an incubator alone in the hospital. So my mom and I actually was around like 50-50. The doctors told my father that I might live, my mom wouldn't. So I think since then I'm a born survivor. So I think that's the one thing that's most interesting about me. And yeah, glad to meet you all here.
Hi, myself Grace Manu. I'm a trans woman and trans sex activist in India. Yeah, my pronouns is she, her. And the interesting thing, I'm an engineer, India's first trans engineer.
Hi everyone, I am Mernoush Ahmadi. I come from Iran. I'm a counselor. I myself am non-binary and go with she and they. And also, and the interesting thing, usually people have no problem saying what color they like most. I like all colors. I just love them.
I guess it's my turn. My pronouns are she, he, they. I'm very fluid when it comes to gender and pronouns. So some days I'm he, some days I'm she, some days I'm they. I'm an artist, I guess. Maybe that's interesting. That's my art right there. Yeah, it's very fulfilling seeing you all here. Look forward to this. Thank you for having me.
It's such an amazing crowd. And I guess one question would be interesting is, how has it been like for you during COVID, as a non-binary person in the past year and a half?
I think Ryan's really difficult because it's isolating. For the last 2 years, it has been, for me, honestly, debilitating because I'm also an extrovert. I garner energy from people that I know that I want to vibe with. And now, being stuck in isolation ever since 2020, here in the Philippines, we have no signs of slowing down. And I think I hate the government for it because of the lack of a better term, incompetence of the government handling the COVID response. And it's difficult to really meet someone like us. I mean, these are spaces that I really love, online safe spaces wherein we can talk. But then physical interaction, it will never be equivalent to online spaces because of the nonverbal things, the body language, being able to hug people is really, it's really something intimate. And as a trans non-binary person, I felt alone. I felt that my concerns are, you know, different from other trans people to begin with. That I'm slowly thinking, wait, I might be alone because even in my community, I'm different. I'm not on any medical intervention. I'm not into the things that trans people, non-trans binary people want. So it's really difficult for me to have new friends, to interact with them. So these past few years has been tough, honestly. So Thank you so much for creating this space to be able to see this wonderful spaces, wonderful faces, and I really appreciate everyone that you're here, and you're all beautiful. And thank you. Emotional. Personal.
I know. You're getting me emotional too.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely resonate with what you said. I moved to Singapore 3 years ago, and the first year I was traveling a lot because of work, and then pandemic. So I did not have a chance to make friends in Singapore, and then pandemic. So we are not. Singapore managed COVID pretty well. So, but that came with strict restriction of meeting up, mingling with people. So it really hindered me to meet new people and be friends with people. So that was sad. But I have another take on COVID. As a non-binary person, toilet is a big issue. If I were trans going through transition, maybe I will just go to male bathroom and then no problem. But I'm not on hormonal therapy, and legally I'm female, so I might be in a trouble going into male bathroom. But if I go into female bathroom, I'm usually in trouble. I have been called out several times before, like, why are you here? Well, they get shocked. So like toilet is a everyday stressful moment for me. But because I'm just home, that problem is gone. I don't have to worry about that. At work, I don't have to worry about that. Weekend, no worries about toilet. So that was a positive thing for me. I guess one positive thing that COVID brought is that.
Yeah, I really resonate with you because I had a job like before the pandemic. I was working for the government, the Ministry of Labor. And then the HR reprimanded me for even, using the female restroom. So right now, I was confused because I can't take, my time in the female restroom where in fact I'm assigned female at birth. So when I go to the male restroom, everyone is staring at me like, what are you doing here? So I had, UTI because of that. I had medical issues because I was really afraid. Like people would, discriminate me and even, threat me in using even the basic thing, the basic necessity of restroom. So I really understand you.
Yeah, definitely the calling out in the bathroom thing brings up like a bunch of memories.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely.
yeah, it's intense. I get it. I believe like almost all of us here been through something similar. It's not fun, but like you said, Maya, like it's a good thing about COVID. One of the good things that just being in your own comfort, the comfort of your home, and just embracing that and basking in the my bathroom situation. Yeah, for me also during COVID, it was an interesting experience because of the lockdown here in UAE. It was very, very strict. And there was like a 24-hour thing happening. I was going through changes when it came to the job, changing jobs, and like being out a job actually at some point, and just trying to survive this heavily capitalistic place with no income, no government support, no government acknowledgement of people who are not cis in general, non-cisgender people. So my mental health deteriorated quite often, but then there was like a light at the end of the tunnel, and a lot of good stuff came out of it. I found a new direction for my art, started therapy seriously again. There was a moment that was like very tough, I believe, maybe, and it was the moment where we lost Sarah Hijazi. And that moment devastated, because I personally had like a similar interaction with her. She just on Twitter, really, that was my interaction with her back when I had Twitter platform. And so that was seeing the collective community online, like Rael said, just overwhelmed me with like it's not happiness, it's just like feeling less alone. So thankful for these online spaces as always.
For me, in India, most of the trans persons are doing dating and sex work. So, and we are all living in, single BHK home, minimum at least 5 to 6 members. So we are all staying together. So it's within our home, we don't follow the social distancing, and financially, all the people are, struggling a lot, and they're all, building the street-based work, it's like the baking. And especially I'm part of South India. So South India, trans persons are, very few people are interested in the folk artists. And when during the pandemic, the folk artist livelihood, it's still, they don't have any resources because government, strictly stopped to do the festival, to celebrate the festival. So when the festival things is happening, the temple festival, so they are going to performing there. So it's having completely lost. So our work, we organize, some support. They're all living in the rental home. So in India, rental home, it's super hard to, to get, and especially the rural area trans persons. It's, all the people are in the rural area having caste and privilege. So the people who are having privilege and the caste privilege and the class privilege, those people will be getting so much of resources. But without, especially non-binary persons in the rural areas, they are having so much of fear, and they don't get, they didn't get any support from the government, and they're not ready to show their identities. And that is also super difficult for the non-binary and the trans persons also. So we had, we did so many work.
So in Iranian case, the story is the story of isolation mainly, because many non-binary people live with their families, the ones that I do, provide counseling to, and sometimes you can be between your loved ones, people who have to care for you, support you, and give a sense of safety to you, where you feel like you belong. But in many cases, the non-binary people in Iran don't feel safe, all those good feelings in the family. When before pandemic, they sometimes could take a break from the family, just go out, maybe see some friends, go to school, even although the school is also not that safe, but sometimes it's better than home. But all of that has been taken from them. And now they're constantly, feeling that pressure, feeling, they have to change their appearance. They're under pressure not to cut their hair, and they're constantly asked, who are you talking to on the phone? They cannot see their like the partners. Past, when the things were escalating at home, some of them could just go to a friend's home, to seek refuge. But now it's much more complicated. So also for, like, I see more cases of depression now, because one form of self-care is just having, communicating with people in person, having your community, going out of home, having some sunshine, but it's
Yeah, it's something also I struggled with losing the job. So for me, I don't feel safe at home with family, or like there's no way they don't know anything about me. I lead a completely separate life. I've built the life that I have now, like from scratch. So having to live with the fear that all of this was under threat because I didn't have an income, it's almost like it can all be taken away within 2 months. It was a very harsh lesson in saving and like keeping your penny to your black day, as we say. It's just, it was very, very, I can't even imagine going back to that environment that you're describing, because I lived this environment for 16 years, from being born to all the way to end of high school. Let's include university time, because that was also 5 years of like back and forth between campus and family home. The cutting hair thing, just I can relate so much. So I cannot cut if I get a haircut like this, I have to like wait for it to grow back at least a little bit, and then I can visit my family if I want to.
I shaved my hair during like the pandemic, and I was on FaceTime with like my parents. My mom was okay, my grandma was okay, but my dad, he cried. He went drinking afterwards because like he was so like distraught like with this. And I haven't even seen him for like so long. When I go back home to my hometown, we don't even speak. We only say hi bye like during dinner time. That's it.
Yeah, that's my relationship with my father as well. I don't get why he takes it personal, since we don't have a relationship, right? Why do you care?
But it's interesting. You're the female family members understand that, and what your father doesn't.
It's funny that my grandma supports it. She told me like, you look good with like shaved hair. And then the next week, she FaceTimed me and said, I also got a haircut too, and it was almost shaved. So that was really like reassuring.
I guess with trans mask people, with their parents, I think that they're losing they're thinking that they're losing their children. That the thought of them, we are assigned female at birth, so they were assuming that we will grow to be their daughters. But then the moment we shaved our heads, or the moment we grew out of those shells, then something cracks inside their minds. I think that, oh no, the illusion that this is my daughter. No, that's your child. That's not a girl. It's like shattering something inside their heads. And I think that's the reason why your father acted that way. But then with my family, I'm really lucky because ever since I was a kid, they knew. They just didn't know the term for it, but they knew that I was different. Because of the term tomboy or lesbian is most commonly known in our country, I was called by that label, but then it doesn't really suit me. It feels foreign. Like I don't identify with that term, but people knew me as that, so I kind of go with it. But then when I realized, oh, wait, I could be someone who's male, female, and none at all, and it feels liberating. And when I come out as trans and non-binary, my family was okay because we knew that. And I'm just forever grateful for them because I have like 5 pride flags in our house. One rainbow, one trans, 2 trans, one non-binary. The other one is the new pride flag, the inclusive pride flag. It's nailed in our house, so it feels like a home. And I'm really lucky to have it. And I hope everyone has one. So I'm really grateful for my family.
Yeah. This is something I admire about some parts of the Filipino culture. I have many friends who are from the Philippines, and yeah, I see how they interact with their families. I don't want to generalize. Obviously, I know a lot of people still struggle, a lot of people from the Philippines. But the common area of being tomboy or a lesbian kind of almost paves the way for a non-binary or mask-identified people to be more passing.
Right, that's true. Because it's commonly known. It's commonly known that gay people, the what we call bakla, gay people, and tomboy. It paves a way for other identities such as trans women, trans men, non-binary people. I mean, we have a long way to go, but it's a kind of stepping point for Filipino families to be able to identify Sochi as. Uh, I beg to differ. I'm an idealist that sometime in the future, the Philippines will be more open to a lot of diverse Soji SC, not just the bakla and the tomboy.
Should we maybe shift focus into, maybe we can talk about, as Rael mentioned, maybe the progress. Are things getting better in your context? Are things getting worse? Or what do you think needs to change?
In terms of trans environment that surrounds trans community, like 20 years ago, there was this law passed in Japan. We still call trans people GID, gender identity disorder. So medically, it's considered disorder in Japan still. But thanks to that law, trans people were finally able to change their gender legally. But trans community accepted this horrible criteria, which is like you need to get rid of all the reproductive organs in order for you to change gender legally, which is very discriminatory. Like some people do not want to do that. Some trans people don't want to do that, but Japanese law forces you to do that. If you want to change gender, get rid of those organs. That's the law. What's been happening is there's a lot of backlash, especially towards trans women online. It's getting out of control and it's horrible. What I mean by this is, like, TERFs. TERFs are really, really trying their best to attack trans women, saying, because of you, rapists will come to female bathroom. It's horrible, but people buy that. Some uninformed people are thinking that trans women are a threat to women.
I would like to add on that one, Mayan. I think they should be afraid of men, not trans women.
Exactly.
See, why would you equate something that men would do to trans women, where in fact trans women are women, and trans women will just use the comfort room for what do you do? What do you do in a comfort room? My goodness. We have the
Exactly.
same issues here, my goodness, in relation to
know.
TDOR. It is really something intimate and emotional for me, because this is the first time a trans masculine Filipino died this year. And sorry. His name is Ebeng, and he's the first one documented. And it's really tough for me. When I knew about the news, I had serious panic attacks because, here in the Philippines, you always hear the news, trans women are being murdered, killed. But this is the first time from our community, from the trans masculine community, has been brutally murdered. And it's really triggering. I don't want to open about it because I was checking out my phone, and I'm looking at our list of names. This year, we have 357. And we will have a vigil on November 20th with our organization. And I look for his name, and all of the info was there. And I'm the one who is organizing the event. But honestly, this is really triggering for me. But I have to, because I'm in the advocacy. I'm an admin, I'm a staff, so I have to, take it all in. But I keep seeing him sometimes in my dreams. And I'm just really, yeah. And I hope the Philippines is moving forward, because these kinds of news wasn't even on the media yet years ago. But now we are making movements, and I think this is a way to move forward with the movement. But still, as advocates, we are just human beings. We have emotions, and the fact that I could be in danger, that I could die, just tomorrow or another day because of my gender identity is really scary. And I hope we are making changes with these kinds of spaces, with these kinds of programs, with TDOR, say their names, that they won't be forgotten, that their lives will not be led astray, and their lives and sacrifices would, give freedom to us, in the long run, even though long shot, even if it's not on their lifetimes, but the next trans kids, they wouldn't suffer the same violence.
It's really hard to, witness all these atrocities, and we are also humans, and yeah, so it's really hard. At least we can cry. I mean, yeah, in Iran is also, as one of you were mentioning, about having to get rid of, undergo these really heavy surgeries that you probably don't need in order to have your gender identity accepted by the law and society. This is also the same in Iran. Also, in pandemic, it's of course much harder for trans people and trans non-binary people. And recently, I've heard that government is even pushing the age of transitioning higher, like 21, 23. It was already very hard for people to get trans affirming care. And now I'm talking to some of my clients who were so disappointed and feel so helpless because of that, because they were waiting for themselves to be 18, and then they were talking to their family, and now they see the change in policy and they don't know where they're going, where things are going. Yeah, in terms of progress, I think, different institutions have to work together. Mental health institution, judiciary, law-related institutions, policy making, and well, the LGBT community is doing its best in Iran, despite the criminalization of having various like different sorry, having different identities without gender affirming surgeries. But then, the whole society has to get move a little bit and support LGBT community. And in this political environment in Iran right now, it's super difficult. So, everyone does what they can. I do my counseling. We have, as 6 rank, we provide support, legal and, mental support to a big, vast network of LGBT members and activists inside Iran, but it has to get, more people should get involved, and it is getting better. We see the progress, but there is also backlash, as some of you mentioned. Struggle is going on.
It's crazy. I don't know, like if I were to talk about the situation here, it's almost comical because it is invisible. So it's nothing. It's like these people, we don't exist. So there are no laws in terms of transitioning. It's just they refuse to acknowledge that these people exist and they want special medical and mental care. So of course that takes me back at least 50 years in progress in comparison to other places, if not 100 years. So it's very weird when you go into a hospital and filling out the form, for example, like there's nothing, it's male, female, assigned gender. If a trans person needs medical assistance of any kind, there's nothing. If a non-binary person, they're forced to give out their assigned gender at birth. That's because, of course, as we know, the medical community has always been very sexist. But the idea here is that we don't exist. So that's the law. Also, the law is that if you can provide enough evidence that a person is actually indeed gay, they are by law can be murdered. They can kill them. So if you can provide like I think witnesses and I don't know what, some bullshit, they can be murdered, they can be prosecuted, they can be driven out of the country. So that's the law. The reality, however, which gives me a little bit more hope, never happens, almost never happens. Very rare that it escalates to this condition. The most common response to like having evidence of that is to kick them out of the country, back to their home country. In my case, if I were to be kicked out to my home country, I'll be kicked out into a war zone. And if you were to kick an LGBT person who's already in distress back to their home country, so it's catastrophic. There is non-existing governmental aid, non-existing direct mental health institutes that are focused attention to LGBT and minorities. Everything we get is from external places. Like I get my counseling from someone in Vancouver. If any aid is needed, I have support groups in Lebanon or in Canada that I can at least speak to. We created our own safe spaces here, but it's very secretive. It's extremely secretive and like cannot be publicized in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you all for sharing. Your experiences are just so like heartbreaking, but also inspiring, and I can sense the courage in between, you know, the fear. And like, thank you everyone for sharing, and also like bringing in so many different perspectives of, you know, transmasculine experience, you know, refugee experience, you know, migrants, and also like, you know, your professional work and spaces. Just, I guess today is your space. So for the last 10 minutes, I just want you all to steer the conversation. What do you want to talk about? Essentially, what questions do you want to ask? What do you want to say? Let's go for it. The floor is open.
I would start. I shared a status about this because I was doing my work in advocacy with Pioneer FTM, and I've been doing this fact sheet all about gender affirming hormone therapy, surgeries, and such. And the answers from the participants are astounding that they need to go on to undergo this affirming therapies, hormone surgeries, so that they could not be misgendered, so they could be more confident, so that they could not be, you know, falsely identified as someone that is feminine. And I think trans medicalism is real. And I think as non-binary, you know, I don't want any medical interventions for me because I felt that this is already me. I'm already, you know, affirming my gender, so to speak. So it's really, I think it's a cis heteronormative culture that want to be accepted as trans or non-binary. You should have to conform. You should be passing in terms of them. That you look like cis, you look like hetero. Where in fact, trans people, non-binary people shouldn't be. We shouldn't be adjusting ourselves for them because that the choice that people made that they want to undergo these kinds of therapy or surgeries are, you know, stuck in a vacuum. You know, these choices are really, you know, you can question them if this choice is is really your choice as a human being, or is this your choice dictated by the society around you? And it's sad because I'm the only one that is not on T, will never be on T, and on not on surgeries, as an admin of our first trans masculine organization in the Philippines. It's really weird to be able to look at myself sometimes and I feel disassociating from my body because I feel I feel the need to go to take that testosterone or surgeries because I don't feel like I belong. Where in fact I've seen every one of you. You're so beautiful and I feel comfortable with my own skin. I don't need to adjust anything. I don't need to do these things to be able to say that I'm valid. I'm myself. I am non-binary. I'm trans. And that's the one thing I want to share with everyone in every public spaces that I be able to talk to, that being trans is not just medical. Being trans is being true to yourself. And that's, I think, the essence of being trans and non-binary.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I really resonate with all your sharing because it took me a long time for me to realize that I am non-binary, because I did not have that concept in my brain growing up. When I was little, I was really boyish and I did not want to wear a skirt. I did not want to do girly stuff. And I hated how people around me would try to force me to become like a girly girl. I hated it. So I thought, maybe I'm a trans. Maybe, like, I saw trans people on TV one day and I thought, oh, I can be like that. I can become a guy. I must become a guy because I like girls too. And only guys can like girls. And growing up, I realized, I knew that there's this people called lesbians. So I thought, okay, you don't have to become a guy to love girls. Then who am I? Lesbian or trans? Like, that was like this or this. And I've belonged to lesbian community, but I never felt right. I never felt that I belonged. I never personally been in trans exclusive, like only trans community, but I've had trans friends. I didn't really think that, I didn't feel the need to transition. Although it's nice if I can take my shirt off everywhere, but well, I can do that today, but I might be in trouble. Anyways, so for the longest time, I had this dilemma, and I was 33 when I realized that I'm 35. I realized at the age of 33 that I'm non-binary. That's it. And it was so liberating. It felt so good. I thought I finally had a name. So yeah, thank you for sharing. I resonate so much. And it's good to know that I'm not alone.
There's a lesson to learn for the society. Just go beyond the binaries. Just try to imagine something new outside these boxes. It's simple, but also very, very new. It's a very new thinking approach. That this is the lesson that somehow we have to learn.
I guess all of these experiences resonate with me big time. Mayan, especially like Mahnush, I don't know, I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Your work with mental health and your work to help individuals is inspiring. I constantly try to do such things through my art. You know, the thing with sponsorship here, because it's so sponsored, pushes creative community to play games over the sponsorship. So how do you portray this message of taking care of LGBT mental health without really saying take care of LGBT mental health? That's the struggle of, and I think it's a creative struggle other than the usual notion struggle with fitting within the binary boxes. Yeah, good job to everyone. I think you're all doing great. I think for me, I think the message that I want to say is try to not fixate on what makes you so different. Try to shift your focus on what you have in common with other non-binary people, or the trans community, or the LGBT community. As much as we feel in our head that we're isolated, it's almost so funny that we're really not isolated. There's a million people out there feeling exactly the same feeling that I think no one else in the universe is feeling. Shifting focus, internalizing things, and just taking a moment to recognize that you might be lonely, but you're not alone. So cheesy, but I love it.
Yeah, I think for non-binary folks, or like everyone, even in the outer space, if there are non-binary binary creatures there, I want you to know that you are you. You don't have to be everyone else. You don't have to be, copying everyone else, because that's what's the norm. It's just be you. Do not be afraid to let your true colors shine. I mean, it's cheesy, but being non-binary, I felt that I should conform, because it's really difficult to be left out. It's really difficult to be picked upon because you're different. You're the weird kid. But don't be afraid to be the weird kid. That's all.
If you don't feel safe to show your true self, it's also okay to stay in closet for now. It's okay. Nobody should be forced to get out of the closet. It's okay. If you're pretending to be somebody else, it's okay. But I hope that one day you can be true to yourself and just live life the way that you like. I've been in a position where I had to go back to closet to work in Japan. I've been there, and it's tough. But if that's what you need to survive, you just gotta do that sometimes. Yeah. So whatever the situation you're in, just you can be true to yourself in your heart, but not necessarily outside. That's I don't know if this is positive, but that's the message that I want to share.
Definitely positive. For Iranians, I would personally say you might feel like there's absolutely no help or no way to go. But if you think a bit more intensely, you probably will find one person or someone who you can talk to, and maybe he or they can be a source of help in the future. Even one person. Is it a sister? Is it like, I don't know, like acquaintance? Is it the person who is the security guard at your workplace? Be careful, but see if you can find anyone who can provide any kind of support. Don't think that you're there's absolutely no one who has a little bit of heart to give some support to you.
Okay. So yes, I think to further tie up everything, thank you everyone again. This has been so amazing. Didn't expect it to be so beautiful and so vulnerable and so much sharing. Thank you. Like, this space couldn't have been awesome without you. And we really hope to do like your sharing justice. We want to edit it nicely and like make it go big on TDOR, and also to acknowledge like the safety concerns in the process. Even though this ends, I just hope some way that we can continue these conversations. Let's see, over email or something, or after the release, let's just have a conversation. Thank you.